Hi, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, wherever you're joining us from. You're very welcome to today's session. My name is Barry, and I'm delighted to be here with our founder today, James, as we're going to explore prompts to results, practical tools in AI that you can put to use to ensure your success. People are still filtering in and joining, so just let us know where you're coming from the chat today. Where in the world are you? Is the weather nicer than it is here in Ireland? It is June, so as you would expect, the clouds are grey and it's raining here. Hopefully, you're somewhere nicer and somewhere warmer. Today's session, we're going to have some practical tools as well. We'll have a look at some resources that you can take and implement today to get started with AI. So there will be a kind of hands-on active component to today. So if you're shy now, you're going to be shy later as well. So, get over that hump and let us know where you're coming from.
Okay, and just while we're waiting, I'll do a personal shout out to a few customers that I can see that are in the room, like Kathy from CTC. Nice to see you here, Kathy. And also Kathleen from Allen-S LLC. I'm working very closely with Kathleen on the use of AI in her business right now and making a lot of progress on that front. So yep, welcome everyone. Please just tell us. We want to encourage you to engage here. We're going to be doing some polls and some back and forth, and we'll get into the presentation in a second.
We've got a great session. We've got a very action-packed session now for the next hour with a couple of scenarios to run through. So we're going to get started now on practical AI that technical and quality professionals can use to go from prompts to results. So just looking ahead at the agenda for the next hour, what we'll do is just spend a couple of minutes just bringing people in. We have a poll as well. There might be some technical hiccups with the poll. There's 3 questions that we have. Hopefully you can see those on the screen. You can probably see them all together. Obviously, the last question is, how did you find the session? So you can just ignore that or submit any answer at the moment. But the other ones, just to kind of get a baseline of where you are with AI. After the poll, then we'll move on to just a brief context picture of where we are today with AI. It's a rapidly and quickly evolving landscape. Things are changing week to week. Never mind week to week, they're changing day to day, really. And we'll take a look at the landscape, where we are, what the benefits are for compliance managers, and why AI has become the all-encompassing word that it has really in the last couple of weeks or months, certainly. What that means for the future of this industry, your profession, and how you can get started with AI. It's still very much a new topic, even though it is on everyone's lips. So if you're coming to this completely cold or you haven't started using AI at all, the good news is don't worry. There's plenty of time still to get started. And the good news is that all of the early adoption and testing has been done. So what you're going to see today are some great validated use cases that you can take away and start implementing in your business straight away. After that, then we'll run through a couple of different demos and scenarios. You can see them on the screen, but we're going to look at allergen labeling, audits, and HACCP gap analysis. That'll be the bulk of the session. And then while that's happening, we'll hopefully fix the Q&A issue so you can ask any questions. And then if we still have time, we've got something very exciting. We'll have a sneak peek at Priority V2, which is currently under developing. And that will be going live but at the end of this month, early next month, into a closed beta. So we'll be delighted to get everyone's feedback on today's session into that and show you the system and give you access to that as well. But we're going to be able to show you an example of what we're building today. And then finally, we'll round out with just a quick challenge for those that want to kind of take what they're seeing today and provide some structure on it and test it and have it validated against us. We've got some resources as well that we'll be able to share with you during this session that you'll be able to take and implement and get started using AI to create a better, more robust compliance system for yourselves. So some of you are familiar with James and you've worked with James already. Some of you have met me at the Food Safety Summit. You might have met James as well last month. But just as a brief introduction to ourselves, my name is Barry O'Toole. I'm Irish, based here in Ireland, and I've been working with compliance and quality technical managers across food safety and supplier quality management solutions for just over 10 years now. As part of that, I've worked with some of the world's leading manufacturers, helping them digitalize and modernize their quality management systems, increase insight into traceability across their supply chains, and take their data into modern architecture systems that allow them to turn data and compliance into a competitive advantage. By means of a background, I've got my master's degree in marketing and in postgraduate digital transformation for life sciences, as well as one in English that I picked up in a different lifetime as well. I'm delighted and honored to be here with James Flynn, the founder of Priority and the best placed person in the company to bring us through today's session. Today's topic is a topic that James has been living in for years now and really is very excited and passionate about. So we're in for a treat. James has built the materials today and he's going to talk us through it all, explain how it all works. But James also has a split attention between Priority and what you're going to see today and Global Imports Agents, which is our import support consultancy service for businesses that are looking to bring products into new markets as well. So the poll should have launched. Hopefully people are able to see it. I'm not quite sure if it is there or not, and we haven't enabled that chat to see.
Yeah, I think I can see people are actually completing it. So yeah, it is there. But it's
Great. Yeah,
if you can't see it, it's in the top menu or it's in the Zoom menu. You should be able to see a poll thing there somewhere. So this is really useful because it gives us a good idea of kind of levels that the rest of the audience is at. And that will help us kind of move that forward.
Yeah. To provide some added context on this poll, we were at an event last month in Chicago, in Illinois, in the US. There's about 600 food safety professionals in the room that were polled on this topic as well. And about 2/3 of that audience, their own admission, are still very new to AI tools and only just getting started as well. So this, as much as you hear people talk about this topic, this isn't something yet that is pervasive through industry. It's not something that's deeply entrenched and embedded yet. So if you are new to these tools or you're kind of unfamiliar, you don't know kind of what you're in for today, don't be afraid. Don't be alarmed. As I said earlier, this is a good time and a good place as any to get started with them. So the poll results will come through and we'll be able to check them and validate those ourselves. But thank you for completing that. So we'll move on to the next slide. Right. So these are the resources that are being built. James is going to talk us through those. So I'll concede the floor now to James. Thanks, James, for bringing us through this topic again today. I hope everyone finds it as useful as I found it as we put together the materials. And I'll look forward to reconnecting with you during the question and answer session after we finish the scenarios.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, welcome everyone. So at the core of what we're going to run through today, we have created, and in the spirit of this session, this entire page of resources that you're going to see was created with AI in the last 2 hours before this webinar. So this really does show you how productive you can be using this. So we have a website called agenta24.com, which is it's actually our internal AI operating system for the business that we are migrating to on our global import agent side of our business, but eventually our Priority customers will be managed through there as well. In here, we have created a resources section where you will see the AI food safety workshop. So if you want to go to that link, agenta24.com resources, you will see the AI food safety workshop, and then you want to get to this page so that you can download the actual resources that we're going to run through today. Okay, so I will move through into the next section. So we want to talk a little bit about AI, and the biggest thing is not the technology at all. It's your time and what you do for a living and the impact it has on your job, be that good, bad, indifferent, positive, or negative. And what I want to convince you of today is that it's only going to be negative if you don't engage with it. If you engage with it, it's going to be nothing but positive, because we want you and your companies and organizations that you work for want you to be leaders in AI in the same way that you're leaders in food safety. So the general idea is we want to focus on where are the things that we can use AI to solve problems. And here are some examples of that. So where does your time go today? So it might be on writing and updating SOPs. It might be interpreting regulations, be those from the FDA, the Food Standards Agency, the European Food Regulations. It's irrelevant. There's a whole bunch of text and rules out there. And we, as human beings, cannot retain all of that information, but AI can. And what we want to do is have reliable ways of using that super brain that AI has to be able to use it to our advantage. So audit prep and gap analysis, making sure that firstly, we are asking the right questions during an audit or inspection. And then after this, we are identifying the correct gaps that we want to focus on to ramp up that continuous improvement wheel. Supplier document reviews. Oh my goodness. I mean, how many hours do we spend doing that? Certainly our team and many of our customers spend huge amounts of time just reading supplier documents. I mean, everyone goes on about phone screen time. What about supplier document screen time? That stuff's a killer, right? You know, these are the kind of things that are happening every single day. Responding to non-conformities. When stuff goes wrong, it usually means that money has to be spent, time and resources have to be spent to fix it so it never happens again. And, you know, making sure it doesn't happen in the first place has to be the priority. And again, if we can get that stuff right, then we save ourselves a lot of time and money. And then, of course, endless meetings and calls and emails and all of that stuff that just breaks you down as a human being, right? So the message I want to get across here is that although AI is seen as a threat, I very much see it as an opportunity. And if you see it as an opportunity and start exploring it, which we're going to do today, then what you're going to find is that you now have this amazing tool in your toolkit, which is going to enable you to literally create a better work life for you and your colleagues. Is it perfect? No. But can you make this work for you? 100% you can make this work for you, and I'm going to prove it to you today. So what does AI give you back? All right, so it's going to give you back, for example, SOPs. You're going to be able to draft those in literally in seconds. I'm going to show you how to do that kind of thing. You can interpret regulations in the deepest form, something that would take you maybe hours to go and research and interpret and bring all of that back. You're going to be able to get plain English answers almost instantly. And we use that all the time for that. You can do gap analyses from an audit inspection in literally minutes rather than spending hours writing a report and then being pushed because there's a deadline or you just don't have time, so you half finish it, and that's what happens in the real world. Supplier document reviews, the average supplier approval with raw materials, you may be looking at 40 or 50 different documents. No one's got time to read all of that stuff and make sure it's all up to date and make sure it's not fraudulent. You know, it's crazy the amount of time there is in that. AI can read it instantly and tell you where to focus and give you risk summaries, etc. You know, looking at non-conformities, root cause analysis is a bit of a shaky thing. Some people get it right, some people don't know how to do it, and some people pay it lip service. So AI does not do lip service. AI goes all the way with this, and therefore you're going to get really, really good analysis on things. And then it's up to you to decide how you're going to take that forward. And then, of course, meetings and calls. I cannot tell you how we've transformed how we do meetings and calls using AI. All of our meeting notes are fully automated. That means that we can send the updates to our customers immediately. We can extract the action items from those emails, and then we can make sure that the most important ones are dealt with. Because I can tell you right now, when AI gets a hold of your meetings and you get all the actions out of it, there's no way you can do all of those actions. But AI can do some of them, you can do some of them, and the rest, well, they're probably just noise. So we have to focus on prioritize, etc. So that's the opportunity, and I hope that gives you a good idea of where we're going with this workshop here today. So we're now going to really jump right into this. The first demo, I've got 3 demos here for you, and I've got what we call a Brucey bonus that we may do later on, which enables us to look up FDA compliance data. I was kind of cooking that one with AI just before the webinar, but I don't know if it's fully baked yet, let's say. So stage number 1, catch the compliance gap. So in this scenario here, we're going to look at a product label versus the allergen procedure for the company and use those 2 pieces of documents for a fictitious company called Acme Foods LLC, and we're going to look for compliance gaps. So you can follow along with this at Agenta24/resources and click on the Catch the Compliance Gap module there to get full access to this. So let me just go to the next slide first. So what we're going to do, we're going to take 2 files, Acme Foods cake fondant label and a food allergen procedure from the same company. And we're going to use this prompt here, which is I'm uploading 2 documents. We're explaining what they are, although AI will work it out, but you know, we're uploading a product label, an allergen procedure for Acme Foods, and the product is cake fondant. So we're just giving it some basic information. In the old days, you had to explain everything to AI, you know, with the prompt, quote unquote. Those days are disappearing. The AI knows what you're asking it now compared to even 3 to 6 months ago. is much, much smarter now than it was, way back in the history of 3 to 6 months ago. So we're going to get this to review the label against the allergen procedure and identify any discrepancies, etc. You get the idea here. So we're going to do a follow-up prompt as well. Now I'm going to show you this in 2 AI models. You'll notice I haven't really even mentioned AI models because, to be honest, if you're using one of the main ones, it's irrelevant. It's mainly irrelevant. They've all got their strengths and weaknesses, but that's not the purpose of today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this text and I'm going to literally do what you would do. These prompts are already in that resources page. So for example, if you go there, you download those files and you'll see the example prompts are here. So I could literally just copy that. And we've got suggested tools that you could use, pretty much any of them. And then now I'm just going to go to the ChatGPT, going to run a new chat. And this is just a normal ChatGPT, nothing special. It's a paid one, but you could do this on a free one as well. You probably just get rate limited or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in my request. I'm then going to upload the 2 files. So I'm over here, I've got my example documents, I'm going to pick my allergen procedure. And one point to mention here is that if you've got your AI hooked up to your documents, right, now that might be a bit controversial for some people, but the AI standards for information security, they're better than any company you deal with, I promise you. Go look at their credentials. They're ISO 27001, they're HIPAA compliant, they're SOC 2 compliant. They're better. I guarantee you they've got better security than any of your competitors. Trouble is they're a big target, right? And that's what makes them interesting for cyber and all that stuff. Anyway, that's another topic. So let's pick the allergen procedure here. And I'm going to quickly run over and pick the label from another folder in here. So you guys have a lot of folders with information in them. And I've got 2 here, one that's a correct label, and I've got another one that's actually got some errors in it. So I'm just going to pick this one anyway. So there's my 2 files. I'm uploading them into the chat. Once those have uploaded, the little go button comes up. We're going to do the starting up. So that will literally take just a minute or 2 to read those documents, and you can see how quickly, it was seconds. And it's come back and it's read the label, it's read the allergen procedure, and it's identified several discrepancies. I won't read them all out, but you can see here, soy is declared a finished product, but the procedure says there's no allergens intentionally present in that document. And then we've got what the text was, we've got a discrepancy. Also down here, a facility warning including milk, eggs, and tree nuts, but the procedure identifies milk and sesame as a operational allergen. So these are red flags all day long. It means that the company doesn't know what the hell they're doing with allergen control, right? So this is a really simple but effective example of how we can take information from different parts of the company and put them together with an AI to identify things that actually could impact food safety, compliance, import holds, all kinds of very, very expensive recalls and everything else. Okay, so there's a great example of that. Similar approach now. For the other example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about Claude. Now, this ChatGPT I did in my web browser. Of course, you can do that with Claude AI as well. But what I'm doing in here is this piece of software here is actually a piece of desktop software called Claude Desktop. You can download that for free, and then you can log in and start working on it. Now, when you start working on it, it's got a chat, and it's got this tool called Cowork. And this Cowork tool is revolutionary. What this does is it works on local files on your computer that you have access to, or even on your network that you have access to. So in these particular examples here, you can hook it up to like FDA, for example. I've literally just ran this. I was talking about this a second ago. So I've hooked up Claude to the FDA compliance database. I just gave it some codes that you can get from FDA. And I've said, hey, what have you got for me? And it's got all of the adverse events for drugs, devices, food enforcement, and food events. And then so 21 different data access points into FDA I literally did this in 10 minutes before I came on the call. And then below here, we've got food recall enforcements. It's telling us everything that's there. And then I simply went, okay, tell me what's in here. What can I get? What kind of information? Get me the most recent food over the last week. And the AI just went away and worked out how to get it, right? And then here below are the most latest class 1, class 2, and class 3 food recalls. And a good example of this, you could run this maybe in the background to listen for your suppliers. And if any of your suppliers come up, you get pinged about it right away. So there's another great example. Anyway, so I'm just for this example on the chat area. It's exactly the same thing. I might do same idea, put that prompt in there. I'm just going to add files. I won't repeat this on every single one, but you get the general idea here. And here you can see where I've actually set up my FDA lookup. So I want to go to here and example documents. I want to get that allergen procedure. Notice I've got Word and I've got PDFs there. This will work with either. It'll even work with scanned documents because did you know that AI has eyes? It can see, it can read what you've got on the screen. That's why it was able to look at the label, which was actually a PNG graphic format there. So pick this one here now. There we go. Right, okay, so same sort of idea. Now, one thing about Claude is, in my opinion, we use Claude professionally for most of our work, but it's expensive. It's a lot more expensive than OpenAI, but and again, in my opinion, I think it's worth it. And all of my team have got access to this to help them with their jobs for that very reason. So there's different models, and I'll just say something about this. I'll say this once before we move on to the next part. There's different models which are better or more capable at different things. So Opus 4.8 is the most capable, most expensive AI model, and you will run out of credits really quickly using that for this type of work. So Sonnet is good enough for this. In fact, even Haiku, which is, for quick answers, is also good enough for this. But I'm going to use Sonnet 1. We'll just push that in, and this will go off and do a similar thing to what the OpenAI tool did there. But you'll notice it says something interesting here. I'll read the PDF skill, right? So what's happening there is it's created a skill in the background for reading PDFs, and it creates skills for reading graphics. It creates skills for working with spreadsheets, for creating PowerPoints, for doing all of the things that you need, all of the skills that you've got on a PC. This has also got it. So it's got eyes, it's got skills, and it's got tools. The tools that you use are Outlook and Excel and everything else. The skill is the application of the tool to complete a job. So this is how AI is now. It's no longer about the prompt. It's about agents, and it's about skills, and it's about tools. And that's what's going on in the background here. So again, you've got same kind of thing, but you notice it gives a bit of a different output. I think this is nicer output. It's more streamlined and so on. And then now what I could do is I could say, okay, I'm just going to use voice AI here. Prepare me an email of this that I can send to the technical manager and pop it up in Outlook for me. So there we go. It's going to go off and do that. It's going to actually create an email. So it's going to open up as a draft in Outlook because I've got it. It says I don't have a draft thing, but it's going to work out. I'm sure it is. I'm rooting for you, Claude. Let's go. So I hope you're following along. Any questions so far? Please do put those in the Q&A. I don't know, Barry, if we've sorted out this chat yet, have we?
Yeah, no, unfortunately it can't be enabled because the session is already live, but the Q&A is working. So please to submit to the Q&A. We've got a few questions already. Some people are submitting them publicly. Some people are submitting them privately, in which case we're seeing those directly. If you want to have your question viewed publicly, everybody will be able to see it, but please keep questions coming and we'll circle back to them as well.
Okay, cool. Right. So now you can see Claude has created the email. I'm just going to open it in the email and it's going to do what you expect. It's going to open your email and it's going to get that ready to send. And then away we go from that point of view. So there is our email, all populated, ready to go. And we are at the races with that. So hopefully that gives you a really interesting kind of expansion on maybe what you already know with the AI. Right, back to the presentation. So we've got to keep moving here. So that gives us a bit of a gap analysis there. We also showed the email thing. But what we could also do is we could quickly follow up on that prompt. I'm going to use OpenAI for speed here. And I'll just go here, put a prompt in here for that one. And once that's uploaded, yep. So now we're digging in here. Several of these would be likely raised as a non-conformance and et cetera, right? So you've got the clause number. How does it know that, right? It's incredible because AI's got all of this stuff in its brain already. So it knows what BRCGS issue 9 is and all that sort of stuff. And you could upload the standard in here and give it even more accurate knowledge or even your interpretation of it for your business, etc. Okay, so very powerful. I'm not going to repeat that one in Claude. Let's move on to the next example here and go back to here. Okay. So we talked through that one. So the next example is going to be audit report to action plan. And so I've got a 46-page audit report, which of course is an example one. It's been anonymized and all that stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that into OpenAI and also into, let me come away from here. 1 second. Can I hide this thing? Yeah. Okay. So OpenAI again, or chat. So I may have closed the last one. Right. Anyway, so here we go. So in this example, I'm going to just grab the prompt for that one. And, I could say something like I have or I am uploading 2 documents. Oh, sorry, that's the last one. It's this one I want. So I am uploading an ISO 22018 assessment audit report for Acme Foods Limited. I want you to summarize the key non-conformities, create a prioritized 90-day corrective action plan as a table with, and you'll notice a finding, corrective action, priority, owner, and target. It's using these vertical pipe characters, but you could just use commas. Identify which findings would most likely be raised at a BRCGS audit, right? So let's get that one in there. So in goes the prompt, and I'm just going to add the file, and this is my audit report, and it's that one there, audit report. And once that's uploaded, you'll see the little things going around there, and we go, boom, off we go. So 46 pages, already we're getting results. How was that? 5 seconds? 5 seconds to analyze a document. How long would that take you to analyze that document and create a report? Okay, so here's an executive summary, scope, all the non-conformities identified, the control of documented information, opportunities for improvement, right? So I'm just going to go PDF this, put it into a Word document, put it into an Excel, create a follow-up audit for me. All of these things are possible from this one piece of information, which AI can instantly follow your instructions. So it's done the analysis. Now it's following your instructions. And that took, 30 seconds, something like that. Let's see what we got. So put this in the download folder, which is, where's my download folder? I'm getting too excited, everyone. Here we go. Yep, ISO 2001 summary. Let's open that, see what we got. So here's an executive summary, audit outcome, et cetera, et cetera. So that's not very detailed. So I'm a bit disappointed with that. So I'm not going to be rude to the AI. I'm just going to go back and say, no, I need much more detail than this. And instead, I want it all in an Excel spreadsheet so we can check everything off. So because it didn't quite give me what I was expecting, I've gone back and it's got all of this in memory. So, it's now working like an expert assistant for you to get this stuff done. And you can always cross-check it. You're the human, you're the expert, you're the one that needs to sense check this before you give it to another human. Never, ever, ever run things through AI and then just blindly give it to someone. That's not what this is about. This is all about, you still being part of the loop and being able to demonstrate your expertise, but do it even better and even faster than you perhaps could before. So here we've got spreadsheet. This can be downloaded. We've got the audit summary. We've got some non-conformities. We've got a tracker here of different areas of leadership in there. COVID-19, Who remembers that? And then we've got the different clauses of the standard, which are need action or otherwise, and inside there as well. So again, a good example of that. And it's kind of worth showing you the difference between what, Claude does on this one. So if I do the same thing in here in a new chat, and I'm just going to quickly, because this kind of exemplifies, and this is the kind of thing you need to do, is check the different models and see what works best for you. So I want the audit report, I want to get that one there, and I'm going to go and get that prompt again, which is this. I'm just going to copy that. Again, you can copy it straight from the website to try this out. Okay, Barry, how are we doing for time while I'm waiting on Claude here?
Yeah, we're good, James. You've got about 25 minutes left in the session, so we're trending nicely.
Nice. Okay, nice. Cool. So again, notice what Claude is doing, reading skill, and we're like, 20 seconds in, and it's building the analysis. So my just general sense of Claude is it just seems to be more thorough and more professional. And Claude is definitely more aimed at businesses, whereas up until now anyway, OpenAI and ChatGPT has been aimed more at consumers. And that's why they're a little bit different. But more recently, OpenAI is kind of catching up on Claude that way. And I haven't even mentioned Google Gemini. I do use Google Gemini. We use it for a lot of back-end work. It's very fast, it's very low cost, and it's actually very, very good. But my preferred tool is Claude from Anthropic at the moment, and then OpenAI after that, although that does seesaw a bit as the models improve, and they're improving every week. They keep leapfrogging each other. So Claude is creating this corrective action plan document, and what you're going to see here, compared with what we saw in the OpenAI example, I think you'll be impressed, because what I get from Claude in the sense of the quality of what it does is it's much, much higher, the quality of output of documents, right? However, for image generation, Claude is like a 3-year-old child, whereas OpenAI is like a Picasso. So they've got their strengths and weaknesses. You need to try different things out. So for example, if you wanted to create a label, a product label or something, and you wanted to mock up a new product idea, whatever, definitely ChatGPT is the place to do that. I would not be doing that here. I might plan out the attributes of the product in Claude and then go create the imagery and packaging and labeling in OpenAI. When I was doing that, I would reference all of the legislation and that I want that label to be compliant with, and it will keep you right along the way. So I hope that you're getting the sense of the power of this. This is not a glorified Google anymore. This is something that does real valuable work. And the reason, we dig into all of this is that we are doing and using these tools directly in our software, especially our new V2, but also in other areas as well. So here is our corrective action plan document. It's a 5-page document. I think you'll agree this is pretty neat. It's pretty professional. It's got all of the parallel risk assessments and everything in here. It's signed off because I told it any document you make, I want this branding and everything else. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. So if you like that, give me a yay, put it in the chat or something, or put it in the Q&A. But, I think this is excellent, how quickly and how professionally we're able to get that done. Right, moving on to the final stage here. Right, okay, let me go back.
And just as we're moving on to this session, just to remind people, some of the questions are coming through on the Q&A in a public manner. It's fantastic. Some of them are coming in anonymously as well. Just if we run out of time for answering your questions at the end of the session, if it's submitted anonymously, we won't be able to respond after the session. So it's fine if you want to submit it anonymously, but you can also send me an email at bo@priority.com. I'm happy to answer any questions in detail as well, just to make sure that we answer every question that comes in. Just let us know who you are if you're submitting it anonymously. But I'm aware of the irony of that, but fine to be anonymous as well. We just want to guarantee you get an answer. Sorry for interrupting, James.
No worries at all. Thank you very much for that, Barry. So demo number 3 is HACCP gap analysis versus BRCGS issue 9 food safety standard. It could be any food safety standard. It doesn't matter. ISO 22000, SQF, Primus GFS, whatever. It's irrelevant. The AI knows these standards because that information is all out there throughout the web, and it's done its learning, and it's learned better than we have, to be honest. So I'm going to just copy this one, and this time we've got 2 files. Now I'm just uploading 1 or 2 files here, but you could upload a whole load of files, and there's all kinds of activities that you could do here, and I'm sure and I hope you're being inspired here on the very next job you do that is going to take you 4 hours, that you try and work out a way to get it done in 4 minutes, because that's what this is all about. Right, okay, so we'll copy this prompt. Let's go there. I'm looking for the HACCP plan for cake fondant, and I'm also looking for, in fact, I don't even have this, and I can't remember if I tested this one fully, but anyway, we'll just go and do it, and we'll see. So there's a BRCGS labeling control audit checklist that it's going to look for, but I don't have that. So in my prompt, I'm going to have to do something different, right? So let's put this in here. I don't want that. I want a text. I want the actual text. So let me get that, and I think I'll just get a notepad because I want to edit the text. Go. There we go. So I've got some nice clean text now. And of course, if you get it from the resources page, you won't have that problem. That's what I should have done. There we go. Right. So I've got that now. And I'm going to upload a HACCP plan. So the HACCP plan is in this folder. And there we go. Incidentally, let me show you what's in that HACCP plan. So, because I haven't even done that yet, right? We've been kind of flying a bit blind. So let's look at that HACCP plan. This HACCP plan, by the way, was developed with our software using AI, right? So, and it's a cake fondant, well, AI and a human being who is a HACCP expert. So this entire document, you can see I've anonymized this one. It was a real company's HACCP plan. It's got all details there. I've got all the people in the team, intended use. So this is a 20-page document. Got the process narrative. We've got the entire process flow, and then we've got the scope and the hazard analyses, etc., etc. Everything's here. I can guarantee you everything is here. However, there is information missing in terms of what I'm giving the AI. So it doesn't necessarily know about what prerequisite programs I've got in place or what monitoring gets done or whatever. It's just looking at the actual hazards that have been risked. And by the way, this is covering HACCP, food fraud, and intentional adulteration, the whole thing. Right, so very comprehensive document that we're uploading into the AI, and we're just going to go there. Okay, so again, it's reading all of that, and it's going to create a gap analysis. And again, we're getting really, really good detail from this. What issues do I need to do here to improve this? So, and it's giving us the clauses from the BRCGS standard, which look accurate to me. You would obviously cross-check all of that. We've got the requirement, and it's in the status of this one is partial, and it's got like some references there and a recommendation. So how can we improve this? Okay, so again, something that looked like a really good HACCP plan. We've got a whole bunch of points that we could really look at here. And if I said, okay, well, prioritize this, I'll just do the voice. Prioritize this, as I've got an audit coming out next week, and I've got no chance of doing all of these. Give me the most important ones that I need to focus on. Okay, off we go. By the way, just while we're waiting on that, the tool I'm using for voice is called Whisper Flow, but you can actually just use the voice item in the AI as well. So these are the top 4 things that I must fix before the next audit, which is much more achievable. And now I can allocate these out to different people. I could have it create an email, send it to the different people in the organization, especially if I've got, say, for example, an organization chart in here with the names and email addresses or contacts of the people who are on the HACCP team, the people who do the labeling approvals, and so on. So this could easily, pick all that out for you and yes, automate it if you wanted it to do that. Okay, so that is the kind of HACCP side of things. Again, I'm not going to repeat it in the Claude part. I think you get the general idea in here. Okay, so I would encourage you to have a look at all of that. Now, in the poll, I know that you did make some answers earlier on, but the poll was really intended for people to kind of do as we go. So I would like to ask you to, revisit question 2 and kind of, put your update in there on that one. And then we'll get to question 3 in a bit when we get to the end of the webinar. So by the looks of it, I've got 15 minutes to go, and I think we are pretty much on track. Okay, so the next part now is we want to kind of think about how the AI works within your workflow. And this is, I guess, our opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing. To be honest, for the past year, but particularly the past 6 months, we have been in, I and many people in the technical team, we've been in a bunker innovation mode, looking at all of this. And it's been very, very interesting. The most interesting time of my life, for sure, when we see the power of what is possible here and how we can bring these benefits to our customers and to the world in general. But the important point isn't the technology, it's how you use it, right? So what is it we're doing? So at the moment, our main tool is called 3i Verify, and it's fantastic. And it's been used for years for some of the people on this call. And it does all the things that a technical or quality manager would want to do. But I'm not going to say it's old tech now, but it's becoming old tech now. AI is changing the game. So about a year ago, we decided we're going to have to rebuild everything from scratch. And we set about planning that out. And one of the things we really looked at was to say, right, okay, well, how are we going to rebrand, relaunch this, etc. And the way that we're going to do that is we're just going to call it Primority. So it's going to be called Primority. We're going to keep it simple. Everything about what we do going forward has to be keep it simple, because that is what users demand. Complicated software is dead. AI is making it simple. Look at all the simple stuff we just did today. So what is Primority? Primority is AI-powered food safety and quality compliance system. And basically, it does just about everything you're going to need to do. So you'll need to trust me on that one until we see it for yourself. But it's been rebuilt and reimagined for the AI future we now face. People say the AI future. I call it the AI now, because as you've seen today, there is no doubt whatsoever, this isn't the future we're talking about, it is now. And the speed of change is just accelerating. So if you don't get on board now, it's going to be much harder to get on board in the future, or it might be much easier, actually, when you think about it. So it's aimed at the food safety and quality teams and all related disciplines. What do I mean by that? I mean, this is for everyone in a food business. Purchasing, manufacturing, production, the guys at Goods Inwards, the quality, the safety people, the engineers, this is the way that this is all going, because AI is going to seep into everyone's lives, and AI is making applications talk to each other much, much easier than they ever did in the past. So what is our tool? Our tool's always been about being aligned with key GFSI, Global Food Safety Initiative aligned workflows for both big and small companies, because food safety is nothing to do with the size of your company. It's to do with the culture of food safety in your business and the tools that you've got to be able to influence that. Okay, so we're going to do a quick overview. It's not a full demo at all. I just want to give you a look. This is a sneak peek of our new Primority Intelligence platform, which we're going to be launching in the coming months. I think you've seen some screens earlier, but here you go. So this is the existing.
So James, just as it's switching over, just to check in, we have approximately 10 minutes left, and we do have a couple of questions as well. So we'll try and spare 3 to 5 minutes for those questions.
Yep, no problem at all. Right, I really just want to give it a bit of a look, and so that people can see what the AI is doing here. So just like we saw in the AI tools a moment ago, in the background, under the hood in here, we have tons of AI tools being used. So here, for example, I've logged in, and this is all live. It's all working. It's actually backward compatible with the version of our software 3i Verify, but it's taking a completely different view on it and is using AI to identify things that need to be done. So, for example, here there's a bunch of, this is all demo data. So if you've got 90 things waiting for your review, then you're in trouble, right? But this is all demo database stuff. So we've got 90 questionnaires that require review. We've got 275 suppliers that haven't replied yet. Those guys really don't like me very much. You've got suppliers unapproved, actions that are overdue, complaints that need your review, 11 that are waiting on a supplier reply, and 1 that's waiting for your check. So right there, we have everything we need to just drill down, and we have, when we click on that, it uses the AI to identify all of those things. So this is Agenta. which is our name for the AI that we have implemented, plus the Agenda 24 that we're talking about. So what we did was we just gave that to the AI, and the AI went ahead and it's now got a downloadable spreadsheet here with everything that's required for action in here. You can email that on to someone, do something with it, or you could group it by priority level, next steps, or you could just ask another question, or indeed, put your voice input down here, right? So I'm not going to do the full demo, promised I would not do that, right? So there's AI in action right away. Over here, your top priorities. We've got our questionnaires module here where we've got things which are pending and so on. Again, you would dig into all that. These are supplier questionnaires for approvals and for materials and so on. We've got the supplier management module similar to before. And when you get to these modules, you also have you've got these guides. So a new customer coming on board can be overwhelmed, and then, it's quite a lot of time spent configuring things. So we just click on the guide and you say, well, what is it you want to do? Yeah, I want to add a supplier, right? Let's go add a supplier. Okay, there's the button, add a supplier. Oh, right, okay, I can actually add the supplier, right? So we can put the details in, get additional details and click onboard that supplier. And then that workflow kicks off. And all of that's done by AI in the software itself, working out how do we help the customer? How do we help the user to get that stuff done? So you've noticed there is I come here, I've not been in for months, I've been on holiday, I've been off sick, whatever. How do I upload a supplier certification again? The old way would be send us an email, how do I do this, or whatever, trying to work it out. Now it's start. Okay, so I go here, open a supplier. Okay, let's do that. Open up a supplier. Oh, we go to certifications, next. Right, okay, this is that one there. Go next. So we'll click on that tab, click add certification, and away we go. So there we are ready to add that certification. I've got the file, request from supplier. So just some examples of what we're doing with the new AI native Primority app. And you can see we're pretty far along with this. We believe we'll be in beta, ready to beta test with potential customers and existing customers from about the beginning of July. But yeah, that's your sneak preview. That's all I'm going to show you for now. If you want to see the rest, reach out to Barry or myself. We'll arrange a call. We always want to understand more about you first, and then we look at the technology, and then we see if that can fit. It's going to be a good fit in your processes. But at that point, I'm going to hand back to Barry, and as ever, probably filled your brain with a whole load of stuff you did not expect today. So thank you very much for taking the mental anguish again. Okay, Barry.
Never mental anguish listening to you, James. But thanks very much. We've got some great questions to go through. We've got some that I've already answered as well. One did say there is a lot in the topic in the last hour, and the speed was quite quick for them. Absolutely, to that person I wrote back, I think everyone can see the answer. But it's a massive, massive topic. Don't feel overwhelmed at all. As I said at the beginning, so many are in the very early stages of just kind of figuring out what this means. Some people are a bit further ahead, but it's not a rush. The important thing is, even if you're starting now, you're getting the benefit of all those learnings and the mistakes really that people have made, because people are still figuring this out. As James says, when people come to us and we look at our software, what we don't look at is the software first. We look at you and your requirements. The thing to remember with this software, it's completely malleable and it fits around your processes to support them as well. So it's different use cases for all different people. Today is just looking at 3 very specific examples of that. But if the speed was a lot, there is a recording. It'll be available. The slides will be available to everyone that attends. And indeed, we're happy to talk about this with anyone and everyone. So if you just want to have a session purely on this, not the actual Primority V2, we're happy to meet with people one-on-one and show them at a more relaxed pace as well and answer questions directly. But for those questions specifically, we've got 5 minutes left. Some of the questions have come through. I've answered them directly, and I've answered some of them publicly in the chat as well. So everybody gets the benefit of those. Some are private. The ones that have been submitted privately, the downside to that is your anonymity is protected, but it means that your question will be answered last and we're going to run out of time. So if you submitted a question privately, we'll endeavor to get to it in the next 5 minutes. Realistically, we won't, but I'll follow up with you by email and answer those. But we'll take questions in order of when they came in. So starting with this question from Kathleen, James, as you're going through the example around, I think it was the HACCP example, but just asking if the response from OpenAI is dependent on how much you've already talked to it. So I guess this is really about AI bias. Or if they put the same prompt into her OpenAI as a colleagues, I guess, would it give the same answer each and every time? And then a secondary part of that is, are the results, when they global, what knowledge source is it drawn from? Or are there limitations to searches based on the laws from where the user submits the question? So there's been three questions in there, but it's a great, it's a good place.
Kathleen, give me a good balance. But it's pretty straightforward. If you can mute, please, Barry, I'm getting an echo there. So pretty straightforward. All AIs, all of them, have what they call context. It's the same as human beings, a very, very similar thing. Context is, in what context are you asking me that question? And they're also asking in the basis of what knowledge it has, not only of the internet, but the knowledge it has of you. So the way that you get around all of this is that you start with getting to know your AI and your AI getting to know you. So when you're going to use AI, you say, right, okay, I want you to know who I am, what I do for a living, what my objectives are, and all of these things, right? So you give it that, and you in those documents, so you can literally sit down and have an interview with it. Sit there and say, hey, I want you to interview me so that you know enough about me that anytime I ask you a question on topic A, that you're going to give me a consistent answer. That's called context. The other thing you can do is you can give it knowledge. There might be specific knowledge that's not out there and will not be out there about your business and business processes. So it knows what's the food safety standards are, but it doesn't know anything about your business. So you give it knowledge, upload that, say, hey, store this in your knowledge and refer to it when I ask you questions about topic A or topic B or whatever. So what you really need to do with it is kind of onboard it like a really super, super intelligent employee. People call them interns. Forget it. This is way smarter than an intern. I don't know any intern that can do what we're talking about here, right? It can do stuff better than you can. It's not an intern. So this is your expert digital twin. That's the way you need to think about it. And it becomes a digital twin when you inform it who you are and what you want it to be, and then it acts on your behalf. So I hope that answers the question. And that's across all platforms, by the way. Next question.
Great, thanks, James. Next question is somebody just asking if Agenta or Priority B2 will be able to be used to generate specifications or ingredient declarations specifically in the CLID format.
Yep. Short answer, 100% yes. We're already doing that stuff using our Agenta 24 tool. And we're already doing things like ingesting raw material specifications into raw material approvals. And this works fabulous. And that is available in the new Priority B2 app. And we're also doing real-time live AI, supplier assessments and risk assessments and hazard analyses and all that kind of stuff. What you saw today is really what we were doing about a year ago, and what we're doing now in our applications is way further ahead than that, and it is much more configurable. We can choose the different models. We can put nuances in there about how we want to get information back. So short answer, it can do all of that and more.
Thanks, James. We're up on time, but we have 2 questions left in the public submission. So we'll just cover those and round out there, and then I'll get back to anyone who submitted questions privately directly. Laro has quite a dense question, but a great question. There's a lot to unpack here though, but wants to know specifically with Priority B2, how the platform prevents the models being used from generating incorrect interpretations of a certification scheme or its regulatory requirement, considering those systems may pull information from multiple sources and present inaccurate answers with high confidence. And then there's a second part to that, just before we answer, more specifically, what mechanisms are used to ensure accuracy, validation, and continuous updating of information within the platform. Great question.
Great question for sure. So what I mentioned before a moment ago about knowledge. So what we do is, rather than rely on the AI's interpretation of knowledge, what we do is we point our AI specifically to the knowledge that we want it to use. So that can be in terms of the FDA. It could be all the CFRs, which are all publicly online and are updated in real time. So we give it a link for those CFRs. It periodically visits those, checks what's in there, see if there's any changes, and pulls it into its brain. So then the actual prompt for the AI tells the AI, you are not allowed to interpret this from outside sources. You're only allowed to interpret it from the knowledge I've given you that is coming from a trusted source. So that's one way that we do that. And I can tell you that that works extremely well from that point of view. And what was the second part of what was the other part of that one, Barry? Again, please. Again, in the answer section.
Just around how we can ensure accuracy and validation of the data when it updates.
Yep. So again, accuracy and validation is a two-pronged attack. One of them is nailing down and testing the actual prompt and the outputs of test material. So you've got to test what you're doing. And, you know, if it's coming back 10 times out of 10 or 100 times out of 100 as being accurate, then you're like, right, okay, we can use this. If it comes back 90 times out of 100, then it depends on what you're using it for and how critical that is, right? So you've got that type of idea. And then the other part is the human. We've got to keep the human in the loop. The human expertise that is there is absolutely not irrelevant or redundant. It's essential to be in charge of this tool. You don't have machines going out there operating everything on their own. You've got machine operators, you know, in factories who are there for a reason. They're there for efficiency, to see when something's not right and everything else. And so it's the same here, except you're governing intelligence, not a machine. So you become the custodian of the intelligence in your business, and that makes you valued and it makes you important, because many of your bosses haven't got a clue. Let's face it. Sorry for any bosses that are there. Sorry.
The last question in the open submission, it's a great question, to be fair, but it's a question from Lucy asking if we can get an AI summary of what we've covered today. And yeah, Lucy, the fantastic thing about these tools is you don't have to wait for us to get that. Once the recording is shared, you could take the recording, put it into a model of your choice and generate the summary as well. You don't have to wait for us to tell you. You can get this information condensed, specifically tailored to how you want to receive it as well, and whatever format would work best for you. Yep. But we will be sharing materials. We'll be sharing the slide deck. We'll be sharing the video. And equally, we're happy to repeat this session for anyone on a direct basis as well. I know the speed, like we said earlier, there's a lot to unpack in this. In an hour, it's not enough time. It simply isn't. But if you do want to kind of go back, look at the examples, anyone's welcome to take those materials. The website address is agent.com/resources. James, if you can put back up your screen there so people can see it. We'll share the link again when I send out the recording tomorrow, but everyone can have access to that. Everyone can test it. They can validate it, and you can take it home and play with. The access to Agenta will be giving as well to all attendees here. As James says, we hope to have the closed beta ready at the end of this month or very, very early next month at the latest. But we can invite you to that. You can test it and validate it directly as well. It's a completely transparent system. We're very proud and very excited to be bringing this to market as well. So we're really excited to get people using that and look forward to showing you what that looks like very soon. James, just before we wrap up, any final comments, questions, or notes you want to leave our audience with?
Yeah, just for Lucy, I've actually been, everything I do gets recorded on AI so that I can get the notes. So yes, already got it. I will do something with that, and we'll get Barry to email it out to everyone, and we'll see how quickly we can get it to you, the power of AI. But other than that, thank you very much. This is, I think you can tell, this is a subject that's very close to my heart. I'm extremely passionate about it because I can see what a difference it makes, it can make in people's lives. And that's why we're doing this. You know, we want to get the message out so that people understand how they can start to use these tools. And we're going to do more of this. So do look out. You're going to get an invite for the next webinar, which will probably be towards the end of this month, start of July, when we're going to do the beta launch of the new Primority app. And there are going to be some, I'm not going to say what HSM is at this point, but I'm going to explain what it means at the actual webinar. I think Kathleen already knows because she was on a call with me yesterday. So, but thank you very much, everybody, for coming and listening. And I hope you really got something from it.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. We'll speak to you very soon, but I'll follow up with everyone by email with all the details. And yeah, thank you again for joining us. Thanks, James. Very insightful. And take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.